Okay, help with VOD review, new Tracer player. Okay, so I need help reviewing specifically what I messed up this game and how to improve. I think I played okay, apart from a few misplays, like missing 3 pulses. It happens, but there are probably a lot more. Probably. I watched the replay over, and I think I let the enemy team get to our backline way too much. I played other games like Valorant, CSGO, Rivals, but my mechanics and aim are not too great, and there are some moments in the game where I messed up because of that. With Tracer, I'm not sure when to play more passive and when to engage. I feel like there are times where I was trying to engage their backline, but someone on my team died or they used an ultimate. I've been in silver for like 20-ish hours, and it feels awful bouncing between silver 4 and 3 trying to climb. I also play cast. I'm looking to get better, so any advice or suggestions would be great. Okay, I've got a few things to say already. So with the letting the enemy team get into our backline, that's likely because you're not shooting during like kind of before the fight, which means the enemies don't really have pressure put on them, which means they could just get onto your backline. But we'll see. About your aim and mechanics, again, I just did a VOD before, and this other guy said the same thing. Most people think their aim and mechanics are really bad, but usually it comes down to two things. Either number one, they rush their mechanics and they try and do things too flashy, or they just aren't playing their range, which means they're not doing a lot of damage or they're not hitting a lot of shots, depending on what kind of projectile slash like bullet you have. So maybe you're not playing a range, but who knows? And with Tracer, I'm not sure when to play more passive or when to engage. I feel like there was times where I was trying to engage their backline, but someone on my team died or they used an ult. So with Tracer, knowing when to engage or play passive, it's simply about are enemies actually distracted by my team, and the enemies are going to be distracted by your team when they actually go in. Why are they going to be able to go in when they actually like when the enemies are actually pressured out enough so where your team feels confident enough to go in. So I'll try and talk about a couple of these things in this VOD. Now Jungle Town, it's not a great Tracer map. Obviously, it's playable. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, Tracer's so bad on this map, but it's not easy rap. So I won't speak too much about kind of like general things. I just want to see what you do, and I'll explain to you why it may not have worked as well. Okay, we're shitting over here. I mean, it's not terrible. The only problem with this, with like hiding here, is that we don't know who they have. Right? We can hear the vendetta, but we don't really know who they have, and that might come to bite you in the butt later. Okay, you see a Moira. Whoa, that's very aggressive, but you get out because of Blinks. The reason why this is very aggressive is simply because your Moira already faded out, right? Which means there's no one to attract the attention of the enemies except you. Right? You see how when your Mora was here, you could see the enemy Mora was shooting at your Mora. This is a pretty good time to actually engage because the enemy is distracted by your own teammate, right? And like you did try and do that a little bit here, but it was just a little bit late. Now though, now that Mora's faded out, well, where else do the enemies have to look? Well, at you, and there's 3 people, and it's very scary, and you almost died. And thankfully we got out, which is good. So yeah, you play passive or just like shooting kind of around, not necessarily engaging. You play passive until you see an opportunity to go in. It's like here, we're kind of playing passive. We're just shooting. We're just shooting. We're just shooting. See, now we go in on the vendetta. Why? Because there was an opportunity to, right? What's the opportunity? Well, there's a lot of things going on. Okay, there's a lot of reasons as to why you want to go on this guy, but I'll just label a few of them. So number one, she is going after someone else. So she isn't paying attention to you, right? You see how she's looking at your Domina here? Which means she can't do damage to you. Number two, she is kind of half HP and low HP, which means it's going to be easy for you to blink over and finish her off. And number three, she's in open space, which means it's going to be really hard for her to get to any pieces of cover without taking a lot of damage, right? So like this is when you would want to go in and get aggressive. The main reason being, like the biggest reason that you're going to see the most is she simply isn't paying attention to you, so it's easy for you to just shoot her in the back. So here, it can feel like, oh yeah, the Doom just gets on top of my backline for free. Well, yeah, Well, yeah, because you didn't shoot him, man. Like you didn't shoot the Doom. Like, you saw the Doom go in here, so you know he's over here. So why not just, you know, maybe blink round to the side over here, blink in this room, and then you can come into this door. Why, you know, why just like stay here and not shoot anything, right? As Tracer, it's basically your goal to try and do as much damage as possible, but because Tracer is a very low HP character, the best way to do that is to shoot people who aren't looking at you. And right now, the Doom is not looking at you. He's looking at the Zen, which means you can go over here, blink, blink, shoot Doom whilst he's shooting Zen. And then what's going to happen is that you're going to kill him because he keeps looking at the Zen. Or he looks at you, and now your Zen is safe. But then you're like, well, what happens if they look at me? Well, luckily, we're playing the Tracer hero, and we have blinks, and we have recall, right? So we're very speedy, and we're able to get in and out of situations. So this is when you would want to engage on this guy. And not sit behind cover and play scared. But this is fine. We can shoot him. You didn't really have to use recall. There's a health pack in here, and you would have gotten full HP as well. So yeah, there isn't. Okay, I can already tell like what's gonna happen. You're gonna play to just go for their backline, but like what's important is doing damage to the enemies so that they can't just free fire your team. And that goes for the Cass, the Doom, the Moira, the Kiriko, anyone, right? You need to be shooting so that the enemies can't just walk in for free. You never want to let the enemies walk in for free because then they're gonna have all of their resources. Now, that might sound complicated, but resources are really simple. Resources are health, ultimate, ammo, and cooldowns. That's it. Because think about it. When you use a recall, you don't have it again. You have to wait. So it's a resource, right? And that's an important resource that allows you to stay in the fights for longer to try and get more pressure and more damage. But back to the point. If you shoot the Cassidy, his resources are going to get depleted, right? He's going to lose health, and he's going to have to use his roll to get back to the cover. And now that he's done that, he can no longer shoot at your team unless he wants to die, because he's going to play without his resources. So, an important part of playing Tracer is, yes, you do want to know when to go on the backline, and you want to go for the backline because it's a pretty effective way to get kills, because they've got less HP than the tanks. But like, in the middle of your engages, it's important to actually keep putting pressure on the enemies so they don't shoot your team for free. Good dodge. Because like you see how, look, you're putting pressure on the Doomfist, and now he has to use block. Why? Because if he doesn't use block, then you're going to be able to keep shooting him to get his health low, and then he's going to die. And like, that's a resource, and like, you can probably kill this guy. Okay, Moira's distracted by that. Moira, you can keep going for this guy. Oh, careful. So yeah, you don't really want to take like one-on-one fights as a Tracer, just because it's very easy for them to kill you if you're in their face, and hard for you to kill them. So right now, because there's not a fight going on, this is where you would want to play a bit more passive. You know, maybe shoot over here, maybe get up here, try and get on some sort of angle, but not a super aggressive angle, so that you can shoot to deal damage, to poke, and then when an opportunity appears, like that Vendetta earlier, then we can shoot people. Now here, you just need to be paying a bit more attention and understanding that there's a Doomfist here, right? Don't immediately try and go for flanks. Right now, your goal is to just shoot people, right? Because flanks only work, which I assume that's what you were trying to do, right? You were trying to go over here. Just find somewhere, take an angle, like go here, go here, go here. It doesn't really matter. Take an angle, and if you see someone, shoot them until they look at you, and then obviously you want to get out. Because you're so focused on the idea of like, okay, I need to flank, you neglect actually just stopping people from shooting your team. So I can already see it coming. This, like, the reason why you feel like the enemies get on your backline for free is because they do get on your backline for free. And now look, the second you start putting pressure on him, he can no longer engage your backline. Right? He has to block. The Kiriko has to use a TP, which is a resource, right? Kiriko has to use a TP to try and help the Doom. And now, guess what? You can just shoot this guy for free. Right? And now the Kiriko has no cooldowns, which is basically Tracer's biggest, you know, dream. Now you can use your blinks to get over here, try and kill this guy. And even if worst comes to worst, you can blink out or you can recall out. Because there you kind of let the Kiriko get away for free there. Okay, let's see what happened with your Soge here. Oh, okay, the soldier's shooting, but for some reason, the rest of our team, even though they're pretty close, they're not actually shooting the enemies, right? You see how all of the time you are not putting pressure on the enemies. It's time where they're gonna put pressure on your team, right? Like the game isn't fair that way, right? You know, your team could suck and they could just get shit on, right? But the enemies are putting pressure, and you're at a numbers advantage right now. You have 4-on-2. You should easily win this, but because you're not shooting, because your uptime is so low, because you're so focused on like getting the perfect flank, and you're not just, okay, let me blink over here, let me shoot these guys, right? You're letting them kill your team for free, right? We're doing nothing, and then look, enemies are fighting. Enemies are fighting your team, fighting, nothing. We are not doing anything. Shooting the Kiriko, who's all the way over here, is not doing anything, right? What is actually going to help is shooting the enemies who are shooting our teammates. Yeah, sure, it's nice to go for a support, but if the support is nowhere near the battlefield, is there any point in shooting them? No. So you want to go for these guys. Literally, all you've got to do, you know, blink, maybe another blink if you want, and just shoot. Because this is going to be the distracted enemies that we're talking about earlier. This is what Tracer wants to do. She wants to shoot distracted enemies. Here, you are just mega overextending into the backline. And then guess what? Because it's Kiriko, she's just going to TP out. And now look. Suddenly, in a situation where you could have helped in the fight, and the Kiriko was doing nothing, has now suddenly been flipped. So now, you are nowhere helping the fight. And now the Kiriko is in the fight. When all you could have done, blink over here and shoot the enemies. Because again, they're just walking forward for free. Because no pressure is being put on them by their Tracer. And now, like, yeah, cool, you can engage, but it's too late. Or like, it's not like, yeah, it is too late, but that's not the reason why you've lost this fight. The reason why you lost this fight is simply because you're not just playing on a close angle on main and you're not shooting the enemies. Which let them walk forward for free and then kill your whole team. It's like here, for example, literally all we really need. All we really need to do is take some sort of angle that isn't directly in front of the enemies, but also one that might not that isn't a hard flank immediately, because you need to see where the enemies are and you need to pressure them. This angle would be fine because it's like an angle where they're not going to be immediately like looking at you, and you can disengage if you need to, but it's also not down main. Now in this situation, I would see my Moira down here, and I would try and see, okay, can I go in here? Can I maybe get up here? Because the Moira being down here means that she's distracting the enemies, right? Because you're going to see eventually all of the enemies are going to turn around. So if you could put yourself in a position where you could go here, maybe up here and drop or something, right? You can capitalize on the distracted enemies here. And there's actually what you do. I like that. Time is just a little late, but I like that overall. Okay, I like going for the pulse there as well. The reason why the pulse was so difficult, by the way, is because the soldier was already looking at you. You want to use the pulse bomb in the same vein as when you normally engage, right? So normally you want to try and engage people when they're not paying attention to you, because that's going to be the best way to do as much damage as possible. The pulse is the same thing. If a guy knows where you are, it's going to be very easy to, one, predict you and get damage on you before you can even pulse. But two, it's going to be easy to like dodge the pulse in the 1v1 because he knows you're right there and he can just dodge it. So I know I kind of yapped for a while, but the main premise of Tracer is that we want to just shoot as much as possible, like generally, shoot, and then because we're shooting, we're helping to put pressure on, and then because pressure is being put on, the enemies are going to have to walk back, or your teammates are going to feel more confident walking in. And then when your teammates walk in, well, guess what happens? Everyone is going to look at your teammates, and this is where Tracer shines, right? So you do damage before the fight, put pressure, teammates walk forward, enemies get distracted, then you can take an angle. This is good. Let's see what you do here. I like shooting the Doom here because he's got the shield. Just a little micro thing. Make sure to not get too tunnel visioned on the guy you're shooting. Make sure to like know that no one's gonna like chase you or something, right? So because you're so focused on Doom that you don't recognize that there's a soldier here. And that brings me on to a second point. Tracer is a very dangerous character, right? if you let a Tracer run in your backline, people are going to chase you, right? People have to chase you, because if they don't, then they lose, right? And this soldier wants to chase you, right? So when people know where you are, and people are going to know where you are, why? Well, because you're shooting, right? They can hear you, they can see you. You need to be ready to move away, because you don't want to stay here. So where can you move away to? Over here. You could back up over here. You could even, like, you know, maybe blink over here, though that's kind of risky because you're blinking in his face. Maybe you could double blink over here, like anything that puts you away from the soldier, right? Because like now you have to use your recall, and now you can't be in the fight when it's actually happening here, right? Like, your team is in. This is a really good advantage to have. You have trance. That's a very big advantage. They're going to be focused on your team, but you're not going to be able to help it because you don't have recall. And the reason why you're dead here is because even after the enemy saw you, you kept trying to fight. There's two problems there. Number one, right, and there's a big glaring one, resource. You don't have recall. So you can't get out for free if you feel like things are going bad. Number two, because the soldier knows you're here, it's going to be incredibly easy for him to kill you now, because he can just burst you down because you have 175 HP and he has 250, right? So it's an unfair fight because he can see you and he knows you're there. And then, like, you have to panic around and use blinks, and then you're dead. So you constantly want to be trying to move around the map and constantly be trying to find people who are not paying attention, right? Or people who are low HP. You see, because you're moving around the map, you're able to shoot the Moira, force out the fade, and then you can kind of chase her when she uses fade and try and go for the kill. Good kill. This is good, right? Taking the 1v1 here is fine because you have recall and she's low HP, right? So, like, you could take this 1v1 pretty simply because you have recall. Right, now we grab the health back. We go, okay, good. This is good. I like that you didn't just immediately run out over here. Why? Because you would be blinking in front of their faces, right? And you would just take a bunch of damage. I like that. I like that you went for the Doom here. Okay, you got punched. Oh, yeah, that was kind of close. Yeah, you kind of had to recall that. That's fine. Okay, cool. And then look, because you're putting pressure on the Doomfist, right? He has to look at you, or like he has to punch you because he's trying to get out. But like that actually helps to keep him trapped in this room. So like technically you did help a decent amount, right? And then look, because pressure is actually being put on him, he has to block, and now he's actually going to be killable. Nice. Double control the podge. All right, now we just finish. Now we can kill him. Why? Well, one, because his team's dead. But even if his team wasn't dead, guess how many resources he has? None. He has no resources, right? So he should die. Boom. Nice. And this is how you want to play Tracer. You want to play as that annoying guy who just shoots you from the side all the time. Now I could say like, oh yeah, you need to be setting up, but that's, you know, we gotta start simple. I don't want to be overwhelming you, but basically, okay, I am actually gonna tell you, right? So you don't want to sit on the cart because there's a lot to say, but basically, you don't want to sit on the payload because sitting on the payload means you're gonna let them walk across the map and get to the payload without having to use any resources to fight. You can see how your teammates are walking forward a little bit because they want to shoot the enemies before they even reach the objective. This is called, you know, doing damage before the fight, because it makes it harder for the enemies to even get to the point, let alone actually fight on the point, because they're not going to have as many resources. And for Tracer, this basically just means get in a position to where you can quickly engage the enemies when they're distracted. So like here would be a good example. Let's say all of the enemies were walking down here and your teammates were here. But you could set up on here, wait for the enemies to walk forward, make contact with your team, and then you could engage their background from here. That's what setting up means, because here you're not really doing a lot of damage, and Tracer doesn't really do damage before the fight as some other characters also don't, because you just don't do a lot of damage, right? You see how little damage you're doing, so it's going to be more efficient and effective to set up, because you're going to be able to put yourself in a position where you can actually get close to the enemies and do damage. Now I'll try not to run this game dry by talking so much. Because, like, yeah, here, you do absolutely zero damage compared to what they do, right? Cass and Soldier do the full amount of damage at this range compared to you, right? Like, you just don't do a lot of damage. Let me look at the scoreboard. Okay, your stuff's fine. Now, I don't mind I mean, I do kind of mind you playing here. Okay, this is good. We're doing damage. Good. We can pulse this guy. You can definitely pulse that guy. Like if you see a Doomfist and he's low HP and and blocking, wait a little bit and then pulse, because then by the time the block ends, well then he's gonna have no block and he's gonna explode. So good kill. Okay, now we kill Doom. We need to go and try and find our next targets immediately. I don't say you have to go in, but I just mean get close to the fight immediately. This is good. Right, good pulse. Nice. And like, why did this pulse work compared to the other pulse, right? There's one main reason, right? Why did this pulse bomb work compared to the pulse bomb you tried on the soldier? Yeah, because the Cassidy didn't know you were there, so it was impossible to react to him getting pulsed because he doesn't know you're there, so he's not going to be paying attention to you. And sure, you know, you kind of chucked it crazy style, but it works, right? You know, you were able to land the pulse bomb on him, and then he died. Good kill. Why? Because he wasn't paying attention to you. This is where Tracer is so strong. You constantly move around the map using your blinks to get to positions where the enemies aren't paying attention to you because they're looking at your teammates, and then you shoot them from the side or you pulse bomb them from the side. Now, you have a few options here. You can go for the Soldier, you can go for the Zen, you can go for the Mora. I'd recommend just kind of going for the Soldier because there's just like two guys over here and it's kind of risky. But it doesn't really matter. You can go for anyone. But now, you see... Oh, wait, they're not paying attention to you. Wait, recall? Oh, you don't. Oh, you don't even have recall. Okay. Sorry, I thought you had recall. The reason why I'm just kind of worried about this is, well, one, you don't have recall. So you don't want to play super aggressive when you don't have recall because that's the resource that actually allows you to play aggressively. And two, once this Mora saw you, I want you to be ready to get back to cover, right? So you can play in the open space, but when the Mora turns around to look at you, I want you to be able to blink to cover so that you're not going to die immediately, right? Because as we've already spoke about, Tracer is very vulnerable just in general, but especially when she doesn't have recall, right? So you don't want to blink very close to the enemies because then you're going to die, right? You know, Mora doesn't do a lot of damage, but she does enough damage to kill you, right? And you were so close to recall, so close. So when you don't have recall, you just need to play a little bit more passive. I'm not saying you need to do nothing. Just play not as aggressive. Okay, cool. That was good. Why was this good, right? Because you saw the cast and you didn't try to fight. You just blinked out immediately. Now you almost died, but you blinked out, and now that you're not in his LOS, you can find somewhere. You can find some people that are not distracted. Why do we recall here? I really want you to ask yourself, what was the point in recalling here? If you failed to come up with an answer, or you have given an answer, it's probably incorrect. There was no reason to recall here. Why? Because you're not actually fighting, right? All you need to do is just chill here. Maybe go get the health pack after the cast runs away. Go up these stairs, and then you can blink from here into the fight, and then you have recall, right? You only really want to use recall when you're actively fighting, because the same thing's gonna happen here, right? You're gonna walk into the fight. You're gonna be playing very aggressive. And then you're going to die because you have no recall, right? The reason why you're dead is just because you have no recall. You can play this aggressive if you have recall, but because you don't, right? You don't have that resource that allows you to play that aggressive. So literally what you should have done is just not recall on the stairs there because there was no reason to do it. Now, I think you did it because you wanted to get to the fight, but is it going to be more valuable for you to wait a couple of seconds, then be able to engage with recall and full HP? Or is it more valuable to go in with half HP and no recall, right? Obviously, it's going to be having full HP and recall because then you can actually do stuff. And like, yeah, here, like this is kind of a situation where like you just need to find a close range angle where there's people and just shoot. Like don't overthink. Oh, I need to go over here. No, just where is a close range angle? Okay, over here. Let me see if I can shoot people. Oh, I can't. Let me move somewhere else, right? You don't really need to overthink, like, okay, yeah, I need to go over here because blah, 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 blah. No, just chill. Just shoot. Just shoot your gun because, again, pressure. We don't want to let the enemies walk in for free. And also, one thing I didn't really talk about is that when you're playing with your team initially, two things happen. One, you're kind of with your team, so you're not in as much danger. But two, you're going to be able to get information on where the enemies are and what cooldowns they've used a little bit more safely, right? Because like you can stand here, okay, Zen's here, maybe I see the castle over here, and then once the fight starts and your team starts walking forward a bit because you've been doing damage, then you can blink over to an angle or an off angle and try and catch someone off guard. Because this is good because like, you have shield. I don't mind this. You're helping shoot. Nice. That's whatever. It happens. Your team got engaged by the Doomfist in the backline and they kind of just got shit on. What actually happened over here? Your soul. Oh no, that's your Zen. Yeah, I don't know what your Zen's doing actually. Oh, lucky. So yeah, they just flanked you, and like the reason this flank happens, by the way, is because you're so concerned with like being in the right position. No, just get close, right? You know, find a nice close range angle, which is going to be over here, and then shoot people. And you being over here, by the way, would then prevent the soldier from being able to take this angle for free because you're over here doing nothing. Or like you think you're doing something, but you're actually doing nothing. You're actually letting the enemies flank over here. Tracer's very good at kind of marking flanks because she's fast. But like that's not the reason why you would want why you would want to be over here. You just want to be over here because it's just where you want to go shoot. But whatever, your team loses the fight, happens. Now we just kind of need to try and get out. Okay, no, we have Cole, so we can go in. I mean, like your mechanics. I mean, like you're telling me your mechanics are bad, but I'm seeing the opposite. You know, I'm seeing the opposite here. Okay, well, why do we not want to be here? I mean, it's fine in this situation, but why do we not want to be here in general? Because the enemies could look directly in front of us. Now we go in, right? We go in now. Why? Because the soldier is distracted. You can go for a pulse. Okay, yeah, that's fine. The reason why you took so much damage there is because you walked like in front of him and you tanked the helix, right? You could have blinked onto the left because then you're going to force the Zen and the soldier to either look this way or this way. You can do that with blink as well. If you can't necessarily get an angle, you can just create your own angle and force them to look at you. Okay, I mean, if you died to that high noon, I genuinely would have just stopped the VOD right here. Okay, Doom's in. Okay, he used out. Cool. Yeah. Right now, we shoot Doom. Why? Because there's no one else to shoot. No one else is really close enough to shoot, so we just shoot Doom. No, like there's no real reason to overcomplicate it. We just shoot Doom because Doom's right here. Okay, use recoil to get out. It's fine. Shoot him. Cool. Okay, now we can take an angle. This is good. Problem is, we don't have recoil. This is why we don't. This is the reason why we don't want to use recoil at the start of the fight or before the fight, because now we can't confidently go in. Right here, you could have just gone for a pulse bomb, which would have been a good play. Maybe time it a little bit later, so they're more distracted, and then you would have been able to recoil out. But here, because you had the cooldowns, you were just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm stuck. Okay, we shoot Doom. Why? Because he's in our face. Okay, we have recoil, so now we really want to be kind of starting to look around and see who we can shoot, right? Okay, so Zen's over here, but there's also people behind us that we need to shoot because they're the ones taking this close range angle, which you should realistically be on. So, right, so like they took the angle that you should, whoa. Like they took the short range angle that realistically you should be on. I'm gonna be honest. The way you play Tracer on this map is either you control the high ground or you control this little space over here. You can still shoot the Doom by being over here, but you need to be ready to access this close range angle. Now, I just stop yapping because this is already turning out to be a long VOD. Now here, obviously, it's going to be kind of hard to win because you're down people. It's whatever. Okay, I want to see where you go for this fight because this is final fight territory here. Okay, it's not terrible. Yeah, we need to shoot. This little bit of downtime is time where like our team can die, right? Because if we're not shooting right now, like our team's gonna die. Okay, we go in. Did we need to recoil here? No, we didn't. Okay, so the reason why we didn't need to recoil here, right? And you might be like, well, Kai, what do you mean? Well, no. Could you not just stand here and shoot the Moira? Do you necessarily have to go into this open space and get close to her? No. You can just literally chill here, shoot. What's that gonna do? Well, then it's gonna put pressure on the Moira. She's gonna lose HP, then she's gonna have to fade out, and then boom, you've successfully forced out her cooldowns without using any of your own. And then after she's faded, well, then maybe we can blink over here. Maybe we can shoot Doom. Maybe we can blink over here to help our Domino, right? We don't always need to like get ultra close to them, right? Sometimes we can just chill over here and shoot. And the reason why I'm saying this is because putting yourself in the open space here allows the Zen to shoot you for free, right? But if you're over here by the door, the Zen can't shoot you because there's a corner blocking the line of sight. And now you don't have recall, and I'm going to imagine you're going to lose this fight because you're not able to get aggressive when you need to be. Yeah, you see? You can't get aggressive on any of these people because you don't have recall now because you're scared. And now you kind of have to walk in, and it's like really dangerous, and it just sucks. I do like the fact that we went for the Doom there. Good shots. Nice. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, so far, I think we just need to shoot more often, or like take closer range angles, and then see what we can shoot. Like, don't play the wide, long range angle. Take the close, short range angle, right? So that's number one. You just want to get in these closer range angles because that's going to benefit your character more. And then number two, we just need to stop using our recall for no reason by going in too early. That seems to be the main problem. Right, let's see what's going on here. Alright, taking pictures for Google Maps, W. Yeah, this is good. We have a short range off angle, and then when we get seen, we can just back up. This is fine, putting pressure. This is fine. You literally don't really need to do anything except just shoot from this angle, right? You don't need to do anything other than shoot from this angle, because shooting from this angle is going to force them to back up, and then look at what's going to happen to your team. Well, your tank has to get healed a little bit, but your tank, because they have backed up, is now going to walk forward. You see that? And now, when your tank walks forward, she is distracting other people that you can capitalize on. Now, there is a soldier over here. I don't know if you realize this. Probably not, but that's fine. Okay, we get close, we shoot. We don't want to get in people's faces, though, because then we're going to get our recall forced out, and now we can't fight. Okay, we see soldiers low. We try and go for him. Why be careful when engaging? Why would I be careful engaging? Mr. Colin 2N. Ding, ding, ding. No recall, right? And now you're going to die. You didn't die. Okay, wow. You really should have died there. But worst case scenario is that you took a bunch of damage, and now you can't even shoot people because you took so much damage. What you should have done was just chill up here, right? If these guys are in this room, they're not going to be able to do anything to your team. Just chill up here, hold this high ground, and if anyone pushes you, shoot them a bit, and then blink out. Because again, we're kind of walking into this open space. We're forcing bad positioning because we want to do damage. But right now, it's just not the time because we don't have recall. Okay, this is fine, but we need to get out. I mean, I understand why we recalled her, but I'd like you to try and be more like mindful of whether or not we can use blinks to get out, right? So you blinked in front of this guy. Could you not maybe blink over here and then double blink out instead of using recall? Because blinks are way less, like, you know, long of a cooldown than recall. And like now we can't really do anything other than just poke main a little bit. And like if we do go for a flank, oh well, we have no recall. This is good though. Soldier's distracted. He's looking at us. We blink to the side to try and make it hard to hit. This is good. See, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So now that you have recall, you don't want to keep this engagement. That doesn't make any sense. Because like you have a really good engagement, the soldier's not paying attention to you, and then you just like turn around. That doesn't make any sense. You just let this Sojourn die for nothing. She was gonna die anyway. But like, look, you have such a good situation here. This is a perfect engagement, right? You have recall, you have 2 blinks, and you're shooting him in the back when he's shooting someone else. Like, this is perfect. Why do we go out? Just shoot that guy, bro. Right? Kill this guy, and then we can go for the Doom. I don't know why we're rotating around. You literally did not need to do this. You're just making the game harder like harder on yourself. And we had to use recall anyway, right? So like, could you not have just used recall over here by just committing to the kill, and then, oh yeah, you know, if he somehow gets me low, then yeah, you can recall out. Like, you just wasted all of this time. Let the Sojourn die for nothing. Put yourself in a worse position by getting in front of his face, right? Because now he can easily shoot you and react to you, and then you use recall anyway. Now, I do want to be clear. I'm not trying to like hard flame you. It's just, can you see how doing this whole thing of like going around the map doesn't make sense? Like, you are already in a really good position. Short range off angle. You have all of your cooldowns, right? Just commit to the kill. There's no reason to actually do anything else, because now you haven't killed this guy because you've put yourself in a bad spot. And if these players were better, then they would have killed you, right? Because you're just in open space in front of two people. This is not where Tracer wants to be. Tracer wants to be on the side, out of enemies LOS, not in the vision of three people here. And you just barely get out because they're bad. That's it. All right, let's shoot Doom. He's low. We can keep shooting Doom. Low HP. Nice. And again, like, we do this weird rotation that we don't need to, right? Okay, when you get a kill, okay, I want you to do something. Okay, so when you get a kill, okay, kill, okay, relax. We are okay. Nothing is happening. We need to just stabilize for a second. Actually look around and understand where people are. Become aware. Okay. Let me stand here. Okay, Moira's over there, Soldier's up top, and then once you've kind of mentally reset out of the chaos of the fight, then you can choose where to go. Because you're panicking and you're like, oh, okay, I need to go over here. No, you don't need to go over here. It's a worse position over here. Why? Because you can't get close to anyone, right? Just chill, analyze, act. Okay, you know, I'm copywriting that. Chill, analyze, act. Okay, the CAA. I need you to do the CAA. Get a kill, chill, analyze, act. All right, because here you've just done this whole thing where you go around the side of the map, but it isn't actually helping anyone because there's no one on this angle. You could take this angle if you know there's a guy here, but there's no one here. But you didn't know that because you panicked. And like, now you're not in the fight for a little bit. You're not putting on pressure. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with the pressure discussion. I think you understand like how important pressure is now. Good blinks. Good. Yeah. My mechanics are not too great, guys. My mechanics are not too great. I don't think I could do this on Tracer. I don't think I could do this, right? I'm really bad at Tracer. But like, just like this simple thing of just blinking behind someone, it's like, bro, I found that hard. You did it though. Oh yeah. My mechanics are so bad, guys. You're able to track the enemy whilst also blinking behind them. Give me a fucking break. You're fine. Everyone who says, oh yeah, my mechanics aren't great, usually has really decent mechanics. I don't mind you. I mean, I do mind you sitting on the payload. Okay, why? Because where are the enemies gonna look when they're trying to contest? On the payload. And if they see a Tracer on the payload, they're gonna shoot the Tracer. Where do you think you could be? Like, literally think of anywhere you could be to where you can still contribute to the fight without being like in this square. Like, where could you be that isn't in this square to contribute to the fight? Yeah, you could be over here. You could be over here. You could be over here. You could be in this building. You could be over here. You could be just anywhere that's not on the payload. Okay? Because guess where people are gonna look as soon as they go payload? Look at the stand. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Colin, look at this guy. Okay? Where does the Zen look when he's trying to fight? At his teammate, but let's pretend his teammate didn't exist. He's looking at the payload. And then guess where you are? Not on the payload. Good job. Let's go. Go for a pulse. W. I mean, so far your pulses have been pretty good. We can chase this. He's Discord. He was Discord, but he was in that. Cool. This is fine. But like, now, this is the tricky part of Junkertown. This is where a lot of people get stuck. Easy way to understand how to play Junkertown is Tracer now has two viable options to play. Either you get on top of this balcony and you blink over here and you play to distract on this little high ground here, or you run in the tunnel and you go all the way up here and you distract over here. That's basically all Tracer can do. I mean, like, she could also go up here, through here, and then trying to wrap around left, but that's not very practical. But I won't go too deep into how to play this map. See how there, by the way, they were easily able to shoot you because you're blinking in front of their face. This is also where we can set up, like I mentioned before, right? We can get in a position where we can easily engage on the enemies whilst they're distracted within like a second or two. And it seems like you're actually doing that right now, which is very good. Okay, I've got a question. Actually, no, I don't. I'm just gonna tell you outright. Like shooting from afar is nice, and you can do some damage. But wouldn't you rather prefer to maybe get a bit closer to the enemies before shooting, right? Because this does two things. One, it keeps your element of surprise, which is basically just like the enemies aren't looking at me because they don't know I'm there. So it keeps that for longer, which allows you to get closer. But also when you do get closer, well, then you're going to be able to do more damage. Why? Because Tracer is a close-range hero, right? She does more damage at range. You're going to do more damage to the soldier down here than you would to the Moira. Just simply because of distance. Like, yeah, like, this is nice, but wouldn't you rather just be, like, over here or over here because you're closer and you're going to do more damage? Yeah, okay, cool. Like, you blink on top. Getting a bit tunnel visioned on this one guy. Again, you do need to remember there is multiple people on the map. And I'm going to imagine you're going to die pretty quick. No, you get forced out. Okay. So, instead of getting forced out over here, what do you think you could have done instead of blink into this position here, right? Like, let me fully zoom out. Let me turn on the icons. What do you think you could have done instead of blink on the Moira? And like, there's no wrong answer here. Like, there's a couple of things you could have done. One, you could have stayed up here, but in hindsight, right, we can see that the Caster's here, but you didn't know that, right? Maybe you hear him. In hindsight, we can go over here, naturally get closer to the Moira without dropping off the high ground and losing cover. Maybe we could blink over here, because then we can kind of shoot the Moira from a closer position. Maybe we could drop over here, which puts us in a position to where we can shoot the Moira without necessarily exposing ourselves to the Cassidy and the Zen, right? So the bottom line is that we just don't want to blink into the middle of the open with like no plan, because that's what gets us forced out, either our blink or our recall, and then now we can't really play the game. And again, why do we recall here? We're safe. We're safe. No one can shoot us. We're safe. Okay. So it's like this is a big thing for you, because now, I mean, like, your team is dead anyway because you had to get out earlier. But like now, even if your team wasn't dead, you wouldn't be able to properly engage because you don't have recall. Because like you're gonna shoot, and then you're gonna get a kill because this guy sucks. No, he's getting healed. Lol. But then look, because you have that recall, you're dead. Now, like, you could say that the real reason you're dead is because you're 1v4ing. Yes, but you're 1v4ing because of previous mistakes, which is just, you know, blinking into the open space, going over here, and then recalling for no reason, right? You could have just waited for the fight to start, setting up, and then engage, but that's fine. So you see how little you can do. You see how little you can do from this angle. The DPS just have the high ground. There's nothing you can do down here. Now the Doom is low, so you can kind of go for him. Wait, he's feeding. Oh my god, he's feeding. Okay, that's a dream come true. Okay, nice, good. The reason why this is good is because it allows you to close the distance on the enemies, whilst also having cover, right? Because this tunnel acts as cover. Instead of trying to go all the way over here, walking in the open space, you have cover. This is good. Now we just need to find a close range angle to shoot people. We don't really need to overcomplicate it. Close range angle to where we can catch people off guard. And that, in this example, would be over here, right? We could pop from the door here, shoot soldier, he looks, blink out. That's it. Now, beware, because the Zen does know you're here, okay? The Zen does know you're here because he discorded you earlier, and he can see you coming up the stairs. So he, you know, a better player would already be ready on this door. Unlucky. I just think you weren't aware that the Cassidy was also there, right? So, like, you stood in front of the soldier without really realizing the Cassidy's there. It happens. But like, did you see how you were able to distract the Cassidy and the soldier, like, actually good? Because you were on that close range off angle. This is good as well. Engaging up here. Just be careful of getting shot at. Okay, I can see. Yeah, I can see the vision. Just too early. Too early. Too early. Why is it too early? Well, your team's all the way back here. But you didn't really know that, okay? You didn't know that because you weren't paying attention to your team, but that's kind of a minor thing. I'm not really going to shit on it too much. Right? Because you see how no one's actually fighting right now? Right? So, like, even if you got this kill, your team would have to rush forward to capitalize. Like, the pulse is fine. It's just kind of early. And you could be shooting other people right now, like the Moira. Or, well, yeah, just the Moira, right? You could be shooting other people by chilling here, waiting, shooting. Maybe you can drop and shoot because right now, there is people on your backline, whereas the Zen isn't actually doing anything. And because you're a faster character, you can reach these guys faster than the Zen can reach your team, right? So like, you can drop down and help. This is why in your post you said, oh, sometimes the enemies get on your backline. Well then, that's fine. The enemies got on your backline before your whole team could even start fighting, right? Because look, your team literally isn't even like barely fighting it. If you just waited here and waited for someone to take an angle, right? You know, maybe shoot the Cass because he's here already, right? Because you went in so early, you then couldn't help your team with the Moira or the Cass because you had your recall forced out. Because you were so focused on going for the flank instead of just putting pressure on people, that they all died. Okay, we're shooting. This is fine. We shoot Doom here. He's killable. Cool. I mean, yeah, there's not really a lot to say. Nice. Good blinks. There's a soldier up there. Don't forget. Push this guy. We have recall. There's nothing to be afraid of. We kill him. Cool. Good job. Go for the Moira. Go for the Zen. That was a good fight. Was that a good fight? Because, oh, wow. You just got shown. That was a good fight because you consistently went for people who weren't paying attention to you. And yeah, you did go for the soldier when he was paying attention to you. But because it's an isolated 1v1, but because you have recall, because his team isn't alive, that's okay. Okay, we're shooting. There's a soldier over there. It's your job to deal with that. He has low HP. He's killable. Ah, you messed up your blink. Unlucky. That's fine. I'm just kind of speeding through this because I don't want to spend a bunch more time just speaking about the same topics. Okay. What is this like dilly dallying here? Like we're just not shooting our gun. We need to shoot our gun. La 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 la. This whole time your team is getting shit on. Shoot your gun! Shoot your gun! Shoot the enemies with your gun. Don't worry about the flank. Worry about the enemies, okay? Right? You need to literally shoot your gun. There is people over here. Blink over here. Help your team. Blink, oh, you know, go here. Shoot the Doom. Do anything but walk around the map and doing nothing. This is why it feels like your backline just dies, because they are dying, because you're not doing anything, right? You're not putting pressure. Again, it just comes down to not letting the enemies walk around the map for free, right? Because you and your team, right? You know, this isn't just a you problem. I mean, it is, but it's not just you, right? Because you're letting the enemies walk around the map for free, they're able to take these angles, right? So you need to put pressure on these guys so that they don't have the ability to do this, right? I wouldn't even mind if you like blinked over here and just tried to like pulse them or something, right? Because then at least you're gonna force them off that angle. But right now you're not shooting, but the enemies are shooting your team. You need to shoot your gun. Shoot your gun. Shoot your gun. What are you doing? Shoot Doom. Shoot Moira. Shoot Moira. Do anything challenge. And like, I know this might sound mean. I'm really not trying to be mean. But like, can you see why two of your teammates are dead? Because you haven't fired a single bullet, right? Like, oh yeah, no shit. Your backline's getting fucking shit on, right? You're not shooting the enemies, you know. Good pulse, but it's just too late in the fight. Even if this did kill the Moira, you're not gonna get enough value to win. You can hear Cass up here. This is kind of your job to deal with. You just need to deal with this, right? I don't really have a lot to say other than you need to deal with this. Like, this is your problem now. I mean, shooting Doom here is fine because he's large, but I don't mind that. But like, you see how because you're letting this guy walk around for free, he's simply able to just walk around the map like an actual robot, like a fucking NPC, and just kill your team because no one is shooting him, right? And like, sure, you could blame your team, but you're the fastest hero in the game. Well, on your team anyway. This is your job to deal with, right? You shouldn't just be letting these guys just walk around. And now, cool, we deal with him, but it's too late. Cool, this is good. He has the cooldowns. W, good kill. You should, I mean, like, you should have done that like a minute ago, but it's okay. Alright, shoot him. So yeah, it just comes down to like, just shoot what's in front of you. If a Doomfist is in front of you, shoot him. If a Cass is in front of you, just shoot him, right? You don't need to go on these crazy flanks. You can go on off angles and flanks after you force out the enemies that were shooting your team. Because now there's not going to be pressure on your backline, and your backline's going to be able to pressure their backline. And then, because they're distracted, you can go for them like this. This is fine. Good play. Good micro. You shouldn't have walked back into him, but good micro. Good blinks. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So, Mr. Colin, right? I'm gonna just break it down. Your two main problems, okay? Number one, you have this issue where you don't want to shoot the enemy sometimes. Like, you're so focused on going for the flank, you kind of lose uptime, and you not having that uptime means that the enemies get to walk across the map for free, and then get in really good positions to kill your teammates. And then, from you not shooting them, that obviously makes you feel like you have to make a play in their backline because the enemies are able to walk in for free. So you feel like you have to do something. But the easy solution is just shoot your gun at the enemies who are trying to walk in on your backline first. And then after you force them out, then you can go for the backline. And then mistake number two is that you get your recall forced out a lot. And most of it is for no reason, right? So like there's two categories of how you've gotten your recall forced out. Number one, You've genuinely just been behind cover and you just recall for no reason, right? There's no reason to recall, so just curb that habit. Reason number two is that you tend to go in too early, get your recall forced out, and then because you don't have your recall, you're not able to actually help in the fight. And to fix that, it kind of links to the first solution of just you need to have more uptime, shoot the enemies more, because as you shoot the enemies more, they're going to be pressured more, then your team is going to feel more comfortable going in, and then when they go in, they're going to distract the enemies, and then that's when you want to go in, right? So just save your recall for a moment when you can engage people who are distracted. Other than that, your mechanics are fine, your positioning, it can be a bit iffy here and there, but most of the time you end up in decent spots to shoot. You just need to shoot enemies more, and then recognize when you can actually go in and when you can actually use your recall. And stop using your recall for no reason, okay?